This week marks 5 years since a terrifying series of crimes gripped our community.
On March 2nd, 2018, a serial bomber planted his first explosive, killing a man in North Austin. This week, we're looking back into how the investigation unfolded and how we reported on the story.
Here's part 1, remembering the first explosion.
My neighbor, something exploded or something?
Do not open any packages.
We heard an explosion and my neighbors were outside on the ground.
The Austin bombings were a series of attacks on innocent people in Austin during a 19-day span in March 2018.
Explosion in the house and people are injured in here.
Smoke alarm, there's blood everywhere.
The bars, they think it's like a bomb or something. I don't know.
Our community was under siege because we didn't know if there was going to be 1, 2, how many more bombings were going to happen. And when we realized it was more than just one, that's when we realized this is a big deal. This is a dangerous situation. This is frightening.
I think there was exhaustion at some point, both internally and exhaustion in the community of just, how long can we keep this up?
We never knew when another one was going to happen, and they just kept coming.
I don't think I've ever seen a community kind of just stop. Everyone just kind of stopped out of fear.
Even to this day, don't fully understand why this happened and why people that were completely without any fault in any relationship to this were harmed and killed by it.
5 years ago, I was a reporter here at KVUE and became the station's lead reporter on the Austin bombing attacks.
We were co-anchors anchoring Daybreak News.
I was the executive producer.
One of the point people capturing the images of the various bombing scenes.
I was the senior producer.
I was the news director.
5 years ago, one of the biggest stories of my career when a serial bomber attacked Austin, and we're looking back.
It was just a really loud, deep boom, and it shook the windows.
On March 2nd, 2018, a man who lived in the Pflugerville area named Anthony Stephen House died from an explosion. It was a very unusual story for us to cover.
March 2nd was just another news day. We're running through, we've done reporting on gas lines and aging gas infrastructure, and our first thought is, is this a gas explosion?
Well, maybe someone's stove, they had an incident with the stove, or one of their wires got mixed up, maybe something got wet. I think that was my first reaction, and I just it's news. So I just was not expecting that to happen again. Always expecting something else to happen, not that.
We were at the Cowboy Breakfast, the annual kickoff for the Rodeo Austin, and we had a blast. It was a fun day. And I can still remember towards the end of the newscast, we were getting reports of a bomb or a suspected bomb.
It sounded like an explosion. My next door neighbor's down with his face down in blood everywhere.
There had been someone seriously injured in this bomb that had gone off, and as you said, they didn't know if it was intentional. They had no idea if it was an accident. It just seemed like, oh wow, what a horrific thing to have happen.
Yeah.
By 2018, I had been in journalism for 33 years. So over that many years, you see a lot of unusual stories. That was definitely an unusual story.
I was on that scene, and we stayed there for, we were there for a really long time. Waiting for the police to come give us a statement. At first, they were speculating it could have been this, could have been that. They didn't really have it nailed down to being a bomb until they did the police briefing, and then it was the chief and a lot of his assistant chief.
No information right now that makes us believe this is anything beyond an isolated incident.
It was a total change of pace, right? Happy, let's talk about the rodeo. And then we just came back to the station. We were like, wait, what? We pivoted and we just kind of figured out and tried to get more information as to what happened and where this took place. And most importantly, why? And, so many questions.
And who the person was.
Yeah.
At that time, we didn't really know who the person was. The first victim of this bomber was a great man with a family and lived and worked hard. And so as the information started to slowly come out, we realized the gravity of what was happening.
Sometimes as a journalist, you can have access or gain certain access to information that investigators may not be putting out to the public to at least kind of help shape our reporting and how we go about our reporting efforts. But in this case, they just really didn't know, which added to the strangeness of it.
It was Joseph Chacon that was there, and he said, we're not sure yet, but at this point it may be a homicide. Maybe, we're not really sure.
I do not believe that we have somebody that's going around leaving packages like
And
this.
then it was not until days later that they started making some more connections and realizing this was not a homicide and this was not a suspicious death, this was something else.
The two people that are hurt, are they having any difficulty breathing? Yes, my grandson.
Coming up tomorrow night, part 2 of our series looking back at the chaos and fear that spread while the serial bomber was still on the loose. You can see that right here on KVUE tomorrow night at 10.